Hello everybody, Faisal Talpur here once again. Today I am going to tell you a story of a client who I got on board about 2 years ago. And he came to me saying that he is extremely stressed. He has got about 3 factories that he runs. He's got factories in London, he's got factories in UAE, and obviously he is extremely busy, but at the same time he's very stressed and he just cannot look into sorting problems out. And some of these problems that he's been trying to solve have been ongoing forever. So I said, okay, not to worry, let's just have a look at what's going on. So he hired me as a consultant, and I went in and I had a good look around as to what was going on. To my amazement, now this guy had been in, by then he had been in business for 30 years. So now it's been 32 years he's been in business. And just in London alone, he employs about 30 people. Then of course he's got, like I said, factories in UAE and what have you. And what I found very strange was he was still running the operation as if he was a one-man band, right? And more shocking than that was that he had actually, about 30 years ago, when he started to become a company, when he started to actually put this business together, he started running this as a business, he put up this factory and what have you, but he had not come out of that one-man band thinking. And he had all these people working for him, and naturally he was of course so much stressed because he was doing all the possible work that he possibly could himself, right? He had trust issues going on with the staff. He had work issues going on with the staff. He had all sorts of issues going on with the staff. And some of this staff, by the way, had been with him for between 7 to 10 years, right, on average. So this was not literally new staff who had walked into into his company yesterday. So I sat down with him. I understood what was going on, and obviously he had all these issues. And then I sat down with the staff. The staff had a very opposite and a very different story to tell. And the story was very simple. It was, we are not given enough liberty to do anything, right? We are micromanaged on every level, on every front. And that is why we feel that we are not even given the confidence. And if obviously the boss is not giving us the confidence, we feel we are not good enough, we are not capable, and hence we slack at work. Our work is not good enough either. So I went back to my client, the boss, and I said, this is what your staff had to say. Obviously he was not happy to listen to what I had to say to him. So we sat down and we had, on numerous occasions over a period of about 6 months or so, I had good sit downs with him and decent chats with him. And we managed to obviously change his thinking. We managed to change the staff's thinking. I had some meetings where the staff and the boss were literally having a face-to-face, addressing their concerns, addressing their issues, which was really, really fun. So that's what it was. But that's how, obviously that's one of the ways how you sort differences out between people and how people are working with each other. So that was done. But I tell you what really made that company function. So I actually was called into a very dysfunctional factory, or a manufacturing business, if you want to call it. And what made it functional over a period of 12 months is what I'm going to give you now. So the first thing that the boss had to do was come out of his key man dependency concept. So he had to actually genuinely dedicate the work and delegate the work to others to do, right? So he had these 30 people working for him. I said to him, I said, listen, what is going on right now is that you've employed these 30 people, but you are working for them. They are not working for you, right? Which I think, hit home, this very thing, me telling him that, listen, it seems to be, you seem to be working for them rather than the other way around. So that was one of the things. And then what we did next was, we then sat down and we then chalked out a plan of action whereby what was his tasks to do, right? And what were the rest of the 30 people in the company supposed to be doing. And that was not an easy thing to overcome, because anything and everything was a hodgepodge, right? So nobody had any clear defined tasks. Nobody had a sense of understanding of who needs to do what. Nobody thought that this is where this is exactly what their jurisdiction is, and this is what they should be actually doing, and anything beyond or anything, you know, after that is not what they should be doing, and that should be actually carried on by the next person in the queue, right? So I tell you, the best way to perhaps overcome, and by the way, this is just one example of this particular client of mine. I have seen since the last 2 or 3 years, I have seen a lot of people exactly with the same problem. So they tend to think that they are the CEOs of the companies, they are the owners of the companies. The reason I say they tend to think is because they certainly don't behave like them, right? They still are literally working as slave labor within their own firm, right? Worse than some of the people who are working for them, right? Which is not the way it's meant to be, right? I mean, a clear distribution of work is extremely important, right? And then you have got this other issue of they just think that they are the best. I'm talking about the bosses, and they just think that the staff is just not good enough, no matter how many years they have been with them, no matter how good they have proven themselves to be, no matter how much experience they have got, and they seem to have proven again and again and again and again and again, and irrespective of that, the boss is not having it. So the understanding of this, or the nut or crux of the matter, is that the boss has got to change. He has got to give out and put trust into you know, the staff that they are working, that it's no point him having those people working for him if he cannot trust them, number one. Number two, if he can put some trust in them, then he should be able to delegate, where he takes his hands off, right? Delegate does not mean you ask somebody to do something and then you continue to micromanage him, right? You might as well do it yourself, right? So if you have got the trust in staff, of course, it all boils down to whether you've hired the right staff, if you've recruited the right staff, right? That's backtracking a little. And if you have hired and recruited the right staff, and you can put trust in the staff, then you should allocate and delegate and dedicate the work in a way that you should give them some sense of authority, some sense of realization, some sense of power, and you define their jurisdiction as to within what they are supposed to be performing and doing what and what not, right? And it is very simple, right? And it literally, like I said, boils down to you know, how clear the tasks have been defined without the organization. So I'll give you my formula of how to run organizations in the most smooth way possible. So how you can streamline work, how you can streamline workflow, right? Without treading on anybody's toes, without causing stress to anybody, for anybody. And this is where, and by the way, if you're a 3-man company, this works. If you are a 1,000 people company, and if you have got different departments doing different things, this technique still works, right? So here it is. First and foremost, you've got to define the workflow. So the workflow has got to be right from A to Z, what the company does, right? In a straight, linear, logical format, right? It has to be a step-by-step directional process map of what it does from A all the way through to the end. Now, when you have done that, then the next thing you do is you then allocate who is supposed to be doing what. However, there is a precursor, a pre-step to this. Who is supposed to be doing what comes from the job, the very job description that these people have or should have who are working for you, right? Now, if you have confused job descriptions, if you're not very clear on what you are giving these people to do, then it is coming to a point of it is coming to a point of got slightly distracted there. It is coming to a point of how are you actually literally defining different roles for these people, and the roles have got to be defined as compared as per their skill set and what they have been hired to do. Now, I do appreciate in small companies sometimes the roles overlap. However, even the overlap should be well defined. So every single person who is a functional part of the company has got to know what he or she should be doing from A to Z, right? Once those roles are defined, then those roles can then be plugged in to the streamline and the workflow of the process that the company is taking to get the job done for a client from A to Z, right? Be it a manufacturing company, be it a service, be it a product delivery, whatever it is, right? So I'll repeat, you have got to define A to Z exactly what needs to be done, or what your company is doing as a function. Then you have got to define the job roles of every single person who is working in your company and what they are supposed to be doing very clearly. And also, you have got to, when you're defining job roles, it is important to also define for each and every person, when they get something going and when they get the authority to engage in something, and when they have got to hand it over to the next person. So this is the second thing. And once you have defined this, then you have got to put them in the right place as to where they come into the picture in the whole scenario of the workflow, right? If you are able to do this, and if you are able to put trust in your colleagues, in your staff, in your team members, in your different departments, then there is no reason why your organization cannot run as a very well-oiled machine, right? And I feel this is what seems to be lacking with a lot of companies, right? Where everybody is just going in circles, right? Chasing their own tail without realizing what needs to be actually done. And this actually also takes away the productivity, right? Because the tasks are not clearly defined, right? Everybody knows they have got to pick up the phone. Everybody knows they've got to answer the email. Everybody knows they've got to perhaps fill the pro forma form to answer the product queries, right? And which is why nobody has got a clear understanding of what they should be doing. I hope today's video has made some sense. And I hope this is going to also give you a little bit of understanding of how workflows and processes should be set in a company. For now, thank you very much. My name is Faisal Talpur. Feel free to visit my website, which is FAISALTALPUR.com. Thank you very much once again, guys. Adios.